we're not only turning to a United Nations initiative, but as well probably to the longest standing failure of the United Nations to bring justice. And that's the Palestinian people and the Palestinian struggle for justice, freedom and equality. After the United Nations, as one of their first actions, had agreed the partition plan of the partition of Palestine, we've had hundreds of resolutions, and we condemn and we deplore and we regret and counts and counter-counts, and really nothing has stopped Israeli crimes, occupation, the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people, and the Israeli apartheid regime against it. Nevertheless, Palestinians, in an incredible effort of steadfastness and commitment to justice, are continuing to work within and without the United Nations, as well within the United Nations, not giving up hope. And the latest, what I really wanted to talk about, is the UN database on corporations that are directly or indirectly involved with the Israeli illegal settlement project. And I guess it's interesting not only, and at the moment this UN database is in the making, it is under pressure, and we'll get later on towards it a bit more. I just wanted to show you a bit as well the history of it, which started, if you want, with the 2004 decision of the International Court of Justice on the legal consequences of Israel's construction of the wall, where it says something that everybody wants to forget. It doesn't only say that the wall is illegal, but that states have a legal obligation not to recognize and aid and assist the construction of the wall, the settlements, and the illegal situation created by it, i.e. they are as well under the legal obligations to ensure that their own companies are not aiding and assisting in constructing the walls and the settlements. In 2012, the first time that we actually got a UN list in any way going was Richard Falk. He was at the time the UN Special Rapporteur on human rights in the occupied Palestinian and Arab territories, and he took the guiding principles in 2012 and the UN Global Compact and made a list of some 13 businesses. I can just mention them quickly: Caterpillar, Veolia, Cemex, G4S, Dexia, Ahava, Volvo, Elbit Systems, HP, Mehadrin, Motorola, Assa Abloy. So Israeli and international corporations, bigger and smaller, most of them big transnational corporations. So he exposed them for their involvement in what is clearly an internationally illegal act, a war crime, human rights violations, you name it. Result of that was that of all those, only one, Assa Abloy, actually stopped having relations with the settlements and got their settlement factory out of the settlements. And Cemex, but not because of the report, but because of popular pressure that we did and divestments that happened, especially in Scandinavia, sold their quarry that they were having in the occupied territories, but continued to keep their companies and in the occupied territories, in the settlements, their production plants, and to give cement to the wall in the settlements. Result of all of this was, at the end of the day, out of these 13 businesses, one really reacted. The two businesses that were even part of the United Nations Global Compact, Veolia Environment and Hewlett-Packard, didn't even reply. They didn't even send a reply. I.e., fundamentally, if we... Sorry. And fundamentally, if we want to understand one thing from it, it is that the guiding principles of the UN Global Compact just don't work, because corporations just don't care, and our governments just don't do anything to make companies applying human rights violations. So then there comes the next step, and this is the step where we're here. How long did I actually talk already? 2 minutes. Oh, we have more. The next step, and what we're talking about now, which is the UN database, that in 2016 has been defined by the UN Human Rights Council, that the Office of the High Commissioner, together with the Intergovernmental Working Group on Business and Human Rights, should develop a public database on business enterprises that have directly or indirectly facilitated and profited and worked in the Israeli or with the Israeli illegal settlements. So where are we now? At the moment, the UN has drawn up that database of, well, at least the first 150 companies. It's interesting that it's actually Israeli newspapers that have leaked already part of the information that we're having. 30 of them are US-American corporations. Many of them are European corporation, one South Korean corporation. Half of them are Israeli corporations. But now starts the pressure. Now that the UN database has been formed, the corporations and transnationals have been informed to be able to get a response. Global, well, US, Israeli, and partially European pressure started to create impunity for its corporations as well in this sector, and to pressure the United Nations not to release the UN database. Their argument is that the exact wording goes that this database should be created and transmitted in form of a report to the Human Rights Council at its 34th session, but it does not say it should be public. Yeah. Now, what they want is that the UN simply does not release this document. The big fight that we're having in front of us, and that's as well my concluding words, is that this database is not only a question for the Palestinian people. This database is a litmus test as well whether the United Nations have the strength to hold corporations responsible when they're evidently involved in human rights violations or not, or will they surrender once again to US-European pressure to keep up impunity. And in this sense, what our struggle here should be is clearly to stand together to ensure that each of us goes back to their capitals and pressures that this UN database will be public and will continue to exist. And we have as well a joint statement that I really ask you to sign. And please come to me if you may be interested and want the text to be signing up. And a last call as well, November 9th is a global day of action for a world without walls, including a global day of action to tear down the walls of impunity. It would be fantastic if you can join in to help us to ensure we're having a binding treaty now and we're ending the walls of impunity. I guess the Palestinian people has shown to everybody in the world that we're gonna insist. Those people up there that think that next year and after this week we're going to be tired and we're going to forget about this binding treaty shall just not even start dreaming about it. We'll be back next year, and from now to next year we're going to ensure that governments around the world will support that treaty and will support the people and the human rights of the people in this treaty, and not the corporations that are continuing to violate the rights of the Palestinian people day after day. Thank you.